How about this? Let's bring in Dan Orlovsky and Mina Kimes joining us here today with their thoughts on this. And listen, I mean, we couldn't have had Carson Wentz traded and not get Orlovsky on this, especially with his love affair with the former Eagles quarterback. More on his vacation look in a moment, but first, this.
For the sake of the stupidity of this,
you have to actually watch the football games.
2017, he's third in the league. And last year, he's not in your top 100. Anybody who voted for this list needs glasses.
Carson Wentz. Oh, Carson Wentz. The facts are.
Got a better completion percentage. He threw for 1,000 more yards.
How's my energy now, bub?
Mina Kimes is behind this, and I will not stand for this buffoonery.
Do they think that Carson Wentz could be great again? This year feels like there's some disconnect.
He played bad this year.
But Carson Wentz is definitely fixable. How? I just don't understand how.
Oh, there's a little change of tune there, Mina.
I love it. I love it.
I'm just laughing at my face in all these clips. But I got to say, I am overjoyed that Dan is joining us from his vacation in Disney World. That's why we're seeing casual Dan. I actually found this because I wanted to make sure, Dan, that you didn't feel...
Oh, Minnie Mouse.
My daughter has the same...
And I am ready to give...
...at Hollywood Studios last night.
Yeah, I love the Disney love here. Listen, more on that, of course, later. But let's get to it here. Dan, did Philly get enough for Wentz in your mind?
No, absolutely not. I mean, we're talking about a guy that, when it's right, he's a top 6 or 7 player in the NFL. You know, I think the reality for this move when it comes to the Colts is it places them. I think there's 4 teams as we sit here today that are top of the AFC conference. Kansas City, obviously. Buffalo, obviously. Cleveland, and this puts Indy in that top 4. Number 2, I would put Carson Wentz into the MVP conversation. I believe in him and Indianapolis that much. And then 3, I'd say this. This 2021 Colts team is going to look a heck of a lot like that 2017 Philadelphia Eagles team. You're talking about a top 5 offensive line and run game. That's what he had in Philly. Philly didn't have a star in 2017. They had like 4 or 5 really good pieces around them. That's what Indy has, top 10 defense. I believe in Carson Wentz, and I know everyone's talking about the mental aspect and all that, and we're going to get into that. But I think that this is a absolute home run for the Colts and something that the Eagles will absolutely regret 2 or 3 years from now.
Really subtle there by Dan, Mina.
MVP. The man said the words MVP. Okay,
Yep.
Let's put a pin in Wentz and the Colts. Laura asked us about Philly and what they got. We will get to that, Dan Orlovsky. Who else was bidding on Carson Wentz? Schefter reported that the Bears didn't even make a call. I think, like, from Philadelphia's perspective, if you're looking at this in totality, the trajectory of his career, the contract they gave him, the way the team and the roster have been handled, disaster. But if you're just focusing on this trade and the options they had once it was clear that Carson Wentz was not coming back, I actually don't think it was that bad of an outcome for Philadelphia. When I first saw it, I saw they weren't getting a first-round pick back. I was concerned, but then it was reported that the second rounder it's a conditional first if Wentz plays at least 3/4 of snaps, which I think is likely to happen. We're talking about a quarterback who was arguably the worst starter in the NFL last year. Now, Dan, I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. I think there were many mitigating circumstances. I am not that extreme. Okay. But the fact that Philadelphia was able to get even this much for him, it's not the worst possible outcome for them. And now they can focus on rebuilding, especially once his contract is off of the books in 2022.
I want to hit on 2 things when it comes to that conversation. Yes, if he plays the 70% of the snaps, they're going to get that first-round pick and then a third-round pick. So, first of all, another huge aspect of Indy and their success with Carson, they keep their 1 and 2 this season. That's a big deal. Mina, I remember you talking about it this year in regards to the things that failed around Carson Wentz, and you touched on Howie Roseman and him missing on some draft picks. We all did because they're there. Just because they're getting a potential first-round pick and a third-round pick doesn't mean that it's a good trade-off, especially if he goes back to 17 form. Certainly if he goes back to 18 or 19 form. Well, I want to hit on the confidence aspect because I think this is an important thing because everyone has mentioned, rightfully so, that it's a mental thing. I was around some good coaches in the NFL, and I was around some bad coaches in the NFL. The first coach that ever instilled confidence in me was Gary Kubiak. And he instilled that confidence. I accepted the confidence, and then I believed in it. Like, I remember Coop sitting there all the time and being like, this is the type of player in practice reps. That's the guy you are. That's the guy you are. And I constantly was like, all right, Cougs is right. And it was like this daily routine. I think that was lost in Philadelphia. And that's why Frank Reich is this type of coach. Like, people are talking about the ability to get confidence back as it's impossible. Not if it's with the right people. If it's with the right coach, that confidence will come back quick. You're going to watch. Carson Wentz is going to get back the stinger, the confidence because of the coaching. Gary Kubiak did it for me. I felt like I was the best player I ever was when I was with him in Houston, and that's why this trade is so important, both for the Indianapolis Colts and also for Carson Wentz.
Yeah, you know, Mina, Dan makes it sound so simple there. And listen, maybe it is. Maybe it is just flipping that switch back on. But there were some mechanical things. There were some things that Wentz needed to work on there. In your mind, is it just the mental that needs to be fixed here?
No, absolutely not. What we saw last year was a team that failed their quarterback, Dan, and a team that was really unlucky. I don't want to put this all on Howie. I mean, the offensive line was brutally injured. That's nobody's fault. We're talking about an offensive line that used to be very, very good during Carson Wentz's peak years. That's something that they cannot be blamed for. But Wentz himself, when you watch the tape, it wasn't like when we watched the Super Bowl and we saw Patrick Mahomes under pressure on every down, you know, making wild throws.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.